Mm-hmm. And so, well, welcome to this space. My name is Henrik, and I am part of the Food System Innovation Project that we got going in Farmers Footprint in collaboration with Honora. And we're here today with Brooke. Welcome to the space, Brooke.
Thank you. And I am very interested to hear more about what exactly this project is all about.
Mm-hmm.
If you wouldn't mind explaining your role and how this whole thing came together, I'd really appreciate it.
Sure. So in this space of Farmers Footprint, we got together a couple of guys. I first met up with a guy called Jonathan Anderson, and we set out with this mission of, figuring out what is keeping people, or what is holding back, what's the obstacle for implementing more regenerative practices in the farming practices, right? And so we had this idea that there's, a lot of different kinds of obstacles out there. And so we got a group together and we headed out of talking to farmers and trying to figure this out,
Fantastic.
And that was, it's 1.5 years ago by now that we did that work. And we found that basically we had to distill it, really down to the core, what's actually the obstacle. And we got down to name it as the human thing, right? It is actually such an important factor. If you are in a farming community and you have a different brand of tractors from all the others, you are the one that gets ridiculed because you're different from the others, right? And so
Absolutely.
imagine if you are now the organic guy and you go into regenerative stuff, you are now the weirdo, right? I mean, that's really out there. You really lost it now. And so when you meet your buddies down at the local pub, or it takes some guts to stand out, right? And so it's that mental aspect, or what would you call it, that's really at the end of the day is the trigger, if we do something or not.
I think you said that perfectly, as the human element. This what you're describing has applications on a global basis, and it epitomizes exactly, in my opinion, where we are. So this is fascinating. Please go on.
Yeah, it's not to let's say diminish all the other problems, because there's structural problems, there's governmental regulations, and just getting an insurance as an organic farmer for, let's say, hail, that's really, really difficult, right? In many places. And I don't really understand that, because, I mean, the hail damages yours organic crops just as conventional, right?
Of course.
There's something going on in these spaces there, right? And it's not an easy thing. But let's say all of those are practical aspects. And most farmers, they are really good at that. They will get about it. But those other energies are at the end of the day a really big thing that's harder to grasp on many ways. But anyway, that was how we started out. And then along those lines, I got in contact with a guy called Adam Fishman, and he was coming into this space, having programs running for high school students and colleges, about this, how to get these youth, young people involved in climate, environmental things. And he was, coming from this, his background was this of, Greta Thunberg, the end of the world and fear, everything we do is damaging. So it was quite obvious that, trying to find another way which is much more encouraging. And so he and another buddy called Wyatt had come up with this idea. What about if we lead with love instead of fear? Good idea. How to do that then? So that's what we've been working on ever since, for more than a year now, trying to really get the nuts and the bolts into how can we actually practice that and bring about it. And so
can you go into a little more depth about what that means exactly? Because it sounds lovely, and but I think a lot of people will be wondering, what does that mean exactly?
Right. So let's say the traditional way of going about something in the world, we would be worried about the state of the world. Okay, so we will go out and look at all the problems. We'll identify all the problems and we'll try to fix them. Right. That would be, let's say, the traditional approach, finding what's not working, right, and looking for problems. And that's somewhat closer to the lines of Mother Teresa. Or if you're anti-war, then all you see is war, right? And so it's not bringing about the best, because it is leading sooner or later into divisiveness. You are the bad guys, we are the good guys. And I think if you look at the world in a broader perspective, you see that as a huge thing in anything that we're talking about, whether it is climate, whether we talk abortion, we talk politics, it is so divisive that there's no communication any longer going on. And so that's actually a really big problem, that we cannot talk to each other any longer. And if we do, it's just shouting, right?
Right. So divisiveness breeds more divisiveness is, I think, what I'm getting from what you're saying. So yes, so please
then
go on.
What's the antidote to all of that? And so Adam, he had some personal experiences that he's explaining in other spaces. But if you come from a place of love, you're not coming blaming, judging, shouting at other people, right? If you can come from that place of love, if you can come from that space of curiosity, express some gratitude for what is already good. There's already good. There's something you can appreciate in what already is. Whether we are talking politics, climate, farmers, anybody that you meet, let's say you start with that expression of gratitude. Thank you for what you're doing already, right?
So
if you can do that authentically, there's actually a chance that that other person is going to open up and be curious about what you are all about, right?
Absolutely.
But that's not the goal. It's not that, let's say, what we are aiming at. It's just, let's say, a byproduct. Really, the key motivation to doing this is, if you have that attitude about you, if you have changed that chip, so I would actually learn. I'm really curious about why you are using GMO products, or why you are having 10,000 cows or industrialized. If I can come with that attitude, it's because I want to learn something, right? And what better place to start from somebody who is very different from me, right? Because if I'm just in this space here where everybody agrees, and then, okay, I'm not really challenged, right? And I'm not really in contact with those other perspectives of something that I have no clue about. So my chances of learning, I would say, would be smaller. And so this is the idea, actually, in this whole thing that we call gratitude-based learning. If we can put on that approach that I'm curious here because I want to learn, And if I can express that gratitude for somebody who's maybe I don't agree with or I don't like, there's a chance actually that I can tap into what's going on in their space and learn something from that. And so that's, let's say, whew, not as
That,
easy as it sounds. Let's
no,
just
but
put it like that.
it's huge actually, because it's almost as though you're saying in your interaction, I am giving you, I'm listening, I hear you, I see you, and I'm open.
Mm-hmm.
So you are not throwing judgments or belief systems or all of that. You're actually opening up a space for people to communicate that breaks all these things down that we have been taught are there. And that is amazing. What a brilliant idea. And practicing, how have you found that to be? What have you learned over the course of putting this into practice?
We've had several cohorts in this space of Farmers Footprint, where we bring people together in small groups of, let's say, 4 to 6 people. And the whole idea is, reaching out to somebody who is in the food system, a stakeholder. That could be a farmer, could be your favorite restaurant, it could be where you buy your groceries. It could even be the truck driver. He is part of the chain as well. And so the idea is to prepare ourselves for going out and having that curiosity conversation with somebody, right? And if you could connect with a organic farmer or maybe a permaculture or biodynamic farmer, or anybody that you like, I wouldn't recommend you start out with somebody that you are dislike, but let's just practice the concept here in a friendly atmosphere, okay? And so reaching out to somebody that you don't know and not coming with that agenda of, hey, I want to tell you how good it is that these concepts that we have, but really being there to absorb and learn what's in their spaces. It is incredible how much friction that creates in people, and it's just that human thing, we're wondering, oh, I don't know how to approach, because is the right way to go and knock on the door, or do I need to call in advance, or do I write an email, and what if they don't answer, what if they turn me down, and if I go there and I mess the whole thing up, right? There's a bunch of friction happening for most people, right? We discover something about ourselves in this process, right? And so what we do in this program is we what I call sit with the friction, we just bring it back to the group. Hey, this was my experience. I totally procrastinated, or I messed it all up, and I feel so bad, and I don't know how to write the email. Okay, we have some templates here, and there's some other people who's been in a similar situation, and we just share our experiences and let it out. It's really simple. And then once you do that, you find out, just breathe, just breathe out, right? And so this is what we call a growth opportunity, because if you have encountered some friction, it's because there's something there bugging you. There's some kind of limitation in your beliefs about yourself or about the world. And there's this reaction, there's these instincts, there's the guards, and there's all these things. And that's what we simply sit with. So we have different ways of going about that, but that's another story. The thing is that, hey, if we could actually overcome these barriers, later you can try again, go out, and see, hey, now I don't have these barriers anymore. Now I'm able to progress and expand my world to include that farmer and that experience. And this is what we get feedback from people, they, after doing this one or two times, now it starts to be natural, happening all the time, talking to their neighbors, somebody they meet on the street, or in their work. And that's just beautiful to see how, people learn to create that connection with another human being, and all you need to do is hold back your own agenda. Just do that for half an hour, maybe an hour. Just hold back. Just keep asking questions. Just keep asking questions, and you'll see some magic happening. That's for sure.
It's absolutely brilliant. It sounds like a lot of personal growth. So this isn't just about learning about the farmers. It also is the personal growth of the individual who's participating in these cohorts. But simultaneously, you're also learning different perspectives, like what is really going on in the world of a farmer or a restaurateur or a driver of food. Or so would I be correct in saying that food is the common denominator, and that what you are discovering or have discovered with the very simple idea of just leading with love, that all of these spaces, the individual that's participating in these cohorts, the farmer on the other end, everybody is actually feeling really good about what is being produced. This is what I'm getting from what you're saying. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. That's really close. That's for sure. The thing, if you don't know your farmer, if you don't know where your food is coming from, I can promise you that your whole life will, have such a different perspective to it after you actually have connected with the farmer. It's going to influence your choices, your opinions, your understanding, your interest in food. And beyond that comes then health, nutrition, climate, and so many other things, animal welfare. All of these things really starts to get a new perspective and a new dimension in your life if you actually dare to reach out and connect with a farmer. And I think it's so healthy for farmers as well to get in connection with the consumers. Both parties can learn so much in that space. I'm quite sure, and it's just beautiful when you connect with somebody, right? That's that human aspect again. You want to help that person, right? So something's going on in that space, and farmers are struggling with a lot of things, and bringing those two parties together, on one side, the producers, the farmers, and the consumers, it's creating something. I don't know what, but it's coming.
Magical. It sounds like magic. Because it seems that you are addressing one of the biggest gaps that we as civilizations have become, which is the how far from the growing the food to the going into a grocery store and picking up that food and then taking it home and eating it. Nobody seems to be aware of that space, and you guys have addressed that space, and it is just, it's amazing. So you've been at this now for a while, and what have you learned, or what are the takeaways, or where are you going from here? What would you like to share?
Well, like I said, we started out, trying to create a connection with somebody that you admire or somebody that you like. Now, the next step in this program is to, once people have practiced that, okay, we're now familiar with the whole process. We are familiar with the concepts. Okay, we know how to reach out. Next level would be then to reach out to somebody that we disagree with, right? That GMO farmer or somebody that's you're not aligned with, right? Whether it's in climate or wherever, these principles could be applied anywhere. But we are here in the food system, and so we encourage people to be curious about what's going on for a mayor in a town, or a senator, if we could reach out to them and have that curiosity conversation. that would really start to change the world, I'm quite sure. So this is what we are doing this next year, is really growing that capability in people to reach out to somebody that we really don't agree with, and that's a big step. The next aspect to it is that when people start to connect with other people in this space, ideas flourish and people get that drive. I want to do something, right? And maybe they have a dream, or maybe they have a project, or they have something. And you know very well that doing, creating a CSA or a community garden or something along those lines, that's a tough one, right? And so what we encourage in these spaces is getting people to know each other from all the different cohorts during the time, creating that networking where you can find that support that you need, because we all have ups and we have downs and we have struggles and we have obstacles, and it's a part of life, right? And so if in this project we could create that space where people can get to know each other, hey, there's somebody there who really could use some help with a web design, right? Somebody else knows how to do that in 1, 2, 3, right? I don't, but fully, I can tell that. So somebody, if we could connect people in these spaces, there's a much better success rate for these projects to start to grow and flourish. And so there'll be an emphasis on people who have any kind of project, from anything personal to anything in the local community or on a bigger scale as well, and really find the support that's appropriate and needed for making those projects progress, whether that's getting them ready to apply for a grant, or wherever we find that there's anything causing friction, let's go and put some lubricant.
Can I actually go back and address this friction, because I find that very interesting. Have you found in all the cohorts that you have been running, has there been friction amongst any of the people, or have you had experience dealing with somebody who ended up having a negative experience, and how you handle that?
Well,
or maybe that hasn't happened.
I can say that largely we have been really blessed with people coming in, with that positive mindset of, I want to make a difference and I want to contribute. And people may find that this space is weird and different and and so they experience a lot of friction in the program, figuring out what it is and what is it that I can contribute to. And so one of the things in this space is that it's not, let's say, a polished program where we have all the answers. The people entering will more or less take away or gain somewhat equivalent to what they put into it, right? And so this is not that common for most people. We show up and then we expect that somebody will serve it to us, right? And here, to get some results really takes some commitment, and it takes some involvement for you to actually define how you would like this to be an experience for you. We say in this program, this is a half-baked cookie, right? It's up to you to decide how chewy you want it or how crispy you want it. That's your part in this, right? And so it's not everybody who is, let's say, prepared for that. And so I can't say that 100% of everybody that came and have a complete revolution in their lives. I think it's fair to say that we've touched each and every person who's been in this program. And you can offer support and you can offer your help, but it's really up to that person if they want to receive, right? And so yeah, we can only, you know, encourage people to show up to a curiosity conversation if there's friction in their space. And that's as far as we can take it, right? And so
No, of course. Well, that leads me into is how or who would you think would benefit from this, or who are you looking for? Who would you like to invite to participate going forward? And
I would say anybody who has a passion for creating a difference in this world, right?
yes,
And I think there's so many of them out there, and I find that most people have a difficulty in connecting and finding other like-minded people. Maybe we can do it online because, you know, then we have connection to the whole world. But it usually is the case that it's hard to find those people in our local communities. And so if we just, all of those people who care for the world, so to say, dare to show up in these spaces and raise their hand and say, here am I, this is what I'm about, there's a chance that somebody else can, hey, in Colorado there's another crazy lady, you know, I'm not the only one. You know, and then we can put people together, and then things starts to happen, and that's, you know, then it starts to be getting really, really beautiful.
it's absolutely amazing. And to think that this all started from a group of guys that got together, and then it has progressed into something that is obviously about improving our world and using food, the most common denominator, to bring that forward. Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds lovely. Really.
Definitely is. It's such a joy and such a pleasure to see all these people, you know, have a space where they dare to be authentic, you know. Once we learn that, that's invaluable, and so that's our little contribution to creating a better world. And so if this speaks to you, welcome. Check it out. Reach out, and we'll have different events where we explain about this, and where you can sign up. And this program repeats every 2 months. And so if it's not right now convenient for you, maybe in a month or maybe in 2 months, there's another chance to join. And so that's an open invitation.
Well, I certainly would love to join. Thank you, Henrik. That was wonderful.
Thank you for asking, and thank you for connecting. So I will then just put a stop